Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do the Robin Hobb book tag. Robin Hobb is my favourite author, and this tag came out just as I was starting to think about doing a booktube channel of my own, so it made sense. It seemed like a sign, so I'm going to go with it. So let's just dive straight in. The first prompt is the skill, your favourite magical ability or system. I've kind of gone with two choices. My first one is the Originy from N.K. Jemisin's 5th season, the Broken Earth trilogy. It was a unique take on magic, as I'm sure many of us have said now. It was very different from anything I've read. It also, for the world, it just made a lot of sense. Excuse me, bit of a frog in my throat there. Yeah, as I was saying, for the world, the magic just made a lot of sense. It was really well thought out by the author, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading about it. My second choice is a nostalgic choice. It is the first magic system that came to mind when I was reading through the prompts initially, and that is The Will and the Word from the Bulgariad by David Eddings. Like I say, this is a nostalgic choice. This was the very first fantasy series that I read. It sparked my love of fantasy and reignited my love of reading. What I particularly enjoyed about The Will and the Word is that it's a very intentional kind of magic. You can't accidentally blow someone up. And it was the first insight into a magic system where magic can't solve everything. It was really well written. I can understand why it's pitched at sort of like young readers and adult. It's just brilliant. Right, the next prompt is Fitz, everyone's beloved favourite character. So this one is a book that made you cry. And for this one, I have to pick A Man Called Uwe. I've only done one other video on this channel, and that was gushing about basically how much I cried over A Man Called Uwe. So if you want to know my feelings on that, go check out that video. I'll link it in the description. The next prompt is Fool, friendship or friend group. So I'm going to give quickly an honourable mention to the book I'm currently reading, which is The Darker Arts by Oscar de Muriel. This is the 5th book in the Frey and McGray series, which features a very typical Englishman this is all set in Victorian Edinburgh. So we've got a typical Englishman and a very typical Scotsman clashing and coming together for this beautiful, slightly antagonistic friendship that has all of the banter. Like I'm really enjoying reading about it right now. But my official choice is Sunshine by Robin McKinley. This book for me was such a refreshing ray of light when I was in the sort of like drudgeries of my vampire romance obsession. It was so lovely to come across one of these books where when I first started reading it, I was like, oh, here we go, yet another trapped together, she's gonna be his mate. And it didn't end that way. And it was just brilliant. This idea that they could have gotten together, but instead they sat down and they went, but I love you, but I'm not in love with you, and this really wouldn't work. I don't want to become a vampire. You don't want to make me a vampire. Our lives, this would just end in heartache for both of us. And I loved that McKinley just let us see that and chose a sensible option. Our next prompt is Althea, our favourite protagonist. For my favourite protagonist, I don't have the book in front of me because I've read them all on my Kindle, but I have gone with Penny Green from the Penny Green Mysteries by Emily Organ. These are a set of mysteries set in, again, Victorian London, about, or possibly just after Victorian times, sort of turn of the century-ish. But they are about a female journalist who is struggling to be a journalist at times, really well aware that she is bucking all of her social norms. She doesn't want to get married, she doesn't want kids, she just wants to work and do what she's passionate about. She's strong, she's fiery at times. She is a brilliant role model for anyone to look up to. Our next prompt is Ophelia, your favourite sassy character or funny book. I've gone with sassy character. I have chosen Lady Trent from the Lady Trent memoirs by Marie Brennan. If anyone has read these books, they know she's just an absolutely brilliant, fabulous, fabulously written character. Again, a bit like Penny, she is strong-willed, she is bucking her social norms, she is just fighting to do what she wants and be who she wants to be. There's not much else I can say there other than she's just brilliant, and y'all really should go out and read those books. So our next prompt is the Six Duchies, your favourite magical world or setting. So I have gone, I think I've mentioned this a few times now, the Victorian era. I adore reading books set in the Victorian era. I also adore books that are set in an alternate history Victorian era. So to represent this, I have gone with Soulless by Gail Carriger. Soulless is set in an alternate Victorian steampunk-esque London. I think it's mostly set in London. It follows Alexia. I had to think of her name there for a minute. It follows Alexia and Troop on all of the shenanigans that they get up to. It's fabulous. It's hilarious. There are, again, very sassy characters, very strong female characters, vampires, werewolves, hijinks, and parasols. Again, a very good, fun romp of a read. So our next prompt is Nighteyes, our favourite animal companion. How do I pick a favourite animal companion that's not Nighteyes? How did anyone do this? This was hard. I managed to narrow it down to two who just about fit the prompt. Just. First one I've gone with is Katsu, who is a character from The Watchmaker of Filigree Street. I can't remember the author off the top of my head. He is a little mechanical octopus who enjoys stealing socks. And that's really all you need to know about him. He's an octopus who enjoys stealing socks. He's adorable. He's absolutely adorable. The next one I thought about was Orsur from Mistborn. Whilst I know he's not technically an animal companion, he does take on a wolf's body for a fair chunk of that book, so I've decided he counts. I really enjoyed watching the relationship between Vin and Orsur move from this fairly antagonistic, we just barely tolerate each other, to this grudging respect, to just full-blown respect and friendship. It was a beautiful transition. Brandon Sanderson did really well there. Next prompt is Brashen, your favourite love interest. I have gone with Nathaniel from The Calculating Stars. Nathaniel is our protagonist's husband. They're already together, they're already married. But he's just such a wonderful, wonderful human being. He supports his wife, he's there for her, he fights for her rights. He never tries to hamper her, he never tries to force her into her place as a wife in the home. He's just the most supportive, loving character. He genuinely just wants what's best for her and her dreams. And you can't ask for much more than that, can you? Next, we have Kyle, our favourite villain. Oh, I really struggled with this one again. I struggle with a few of these prompts. But I have gone with, again, I'm bending it a little bit. I've gone with a villain who is not a villain. But he kind of is, but he's also kind of not. He was the first character I read that really had me puzzling, like, are you on our side? Are you on the bad guy's side? And that's Snape. I adore Snape. Snape will always be one of my favourite characters from the Harry Potter world. I'm counting him as my villain, even though he's not technically a villain, because at the end of the day, he's not a great guy. Sure, he wasn't on Voldemort's side in the end, but he did turn there. He did have a lot of dark thoughts. He's twisted, he's bitter, and that doesn't necessarily make someone a bad guy, but when you take those twisted bitter feelings out on an innocent 11-year-old. Now, Harry might have been really annoying, but he was still just an innocent 11-year-old. So when you start taking a lot of that out there and being really antagonistic towards someone who's absolutely nothing to do with your past, even though he might symbolize it, that's... you have to draw a line there. So he's not the official villain, but he was Harry's villain. So he counts. And Snape is awesome. And he was always good. Except he wasn't. So I'm really confusing there, aren't I? So our next prompt, we've got Kennit, a character or book that we love to hate. I don't necessarily have any characters I love to hate, so with this one I went with book. I can't hold up a book to show you because if I really love hating on a book, it's not going to be on my shelves. If I really didn't enjoy something, it's gone from my shelves. Given how many books I have, they're about the 400 mark. There's not a lot of books I don't like. So I have narrowed it down to, the first one is Twilight, because if you don't love Twilight, you love hating on Twilight. I certainly do. Twilight is the series, I've read all of it, by the way, so I am allowed to hate on them. But Twilight is a series that cured me of my completionism. It is a series where I got to the end and went, I'm never forcing myself through that again. This was terrible. This was tripe. I'm not doing it again. If I read a book that I'm really not enjoying, I will automatically just no. I'll get about maybe 50 to 100 pages in, but if I'm really, really just no, this is a chore, it's gone. So the last book I did that to is just sort of my second choice for this, is Duncton Wood. Or Duncton Woods. Which, I can't remember the author again, but Duncton Wood is basically what you would get if you took Watership Down, Redwall, and gave it the epicness of Lord of the Rings. It was quite a slow read. I didn't mind that too much. It was overly descriptive. I struggled with that a lot. But the crux of it came to, I noped it out when we had a not overly graphic, but a still fairly graphic rape scene, which was slightly incestuous. I mean, all of the characters are moles. It was too much. So I was just nope. And now, if anyone asks for recommendations or books that I really didn't like, it's the first one that comes to mind now. Yeah. But anyway, moving on to better, funner things, which is our next prompt, which is Vivacia, your favourite sentient object. Now, I nearly gave Katsu as an answer for this one, but I prefer him as an animal companion, and he's not quite sentient because he is a little mechanical octopus who is this just, at the end of the day, it's his programming that makes him adorable. So instead, what I have gone with, which when you think about it is not going to surprise anyone that a book lover went for a book. I'm going to go with Vela from The Millennium's Rule. This is the fourth book because I've lost my dust cover for the first one. I know, I'm sorry, it's terrible. I don't care about dust covers, to be honest. But no, Vela is a book, as I've said, she used to be a woman, a magician, a magic user, but was transformed into a book by one of the main villains, or an older villain. She can communicate through skin-to-skin contact. She can absorb all of the knowledge from her users and she stores it. And she communicates, her words appear on this blank pages of her book. I think it was a fabulously written concept. And it's one of the side quests becoming main quests within the series. I'm still only halfway through the third book, so I don't quite know how it ends yet. So she's still a book as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, it was a really interesting concept, and it was something a bit different from an author I really enjoy reading. So that's it. That is all of my answers. I'm so new to BookTube that I don't have anyone to prompt or tag rather. So if by chance you're reading this and you love Robin Hobb and you want to try it out, then consider yourself tagged. Go for it. I will leave in the descriptors the original tag creator. I believe it was Mrs. Richards Reads. I'll double check that and leave it in the descriptor. But anyway, thank you for sticking with me, and I will hopefully see you in a future video. Bye!